G'day, welcome back to the channel. You wanted a rant. Well, you're going to get a rant from me. Some things happening in the hobby. First of all, in Canada, the Canadians, who I've always said had the right idea with this sub 250 gram, basically only two rules: don't hurt people, don't break stuff. They're basically the two rules for sub 250 gram operations in Canada. Brilliant. It's worked so damn well. I have not seen any instance of a sub 250 craft endangering people or property since those rules were introduced. So they're working. They're working perfectly. But wouldn't you know it, the Canadian regulators are now reviewing this. Maybe we need more prescriptive rules for sub 250, they're saying. Why? If it's working, do not try and fix it. Goodness me, you are a beacon of hope in a sea of despair when it comes to regulations there in Canada. That sub 250 basically meant that the hobby could survive in that sub 250 grams. No registration, no restrictive controls, just don't be an idiot. Remember my video I did many years ago saying there should only be two drone rules? No, number one, stay below 400 feet. Number two, don't be an idiot. Well, guess what? The Canadians don't even care about being below 400 feet with sub 250s because we know it. We know that the risks associated with these craft, these tiny craft, are virtually zero. And let me repeat, just for the record, in the entire history of mankind, there has never been a single death attributed to the recreational use of multi-rotor drones. So sub 250 is super, super safe. Now we're getting smaller and lighter craft driven by this desire to be under 250. It's doing wonderful things for safety, wonderful things for the hobby. Why mess with it? Don't mess with it, Canada. But in Canada, again, they're making another rule, or thinking about making another rule, allowing beyond visual line of sight flight without the need for a special flight operating certificate, all that sort of stuff. Making it simple to fly beyond visual line of sight. But they're talking about local BV loss, not long-range BV loss, local BV loss. Well, what is local BV loss? Well, that's when you might fly behind a tree. And so you can't see the drone for a moment because it's flown behind a tree. That's beyond visual line of sight. At the moment, you can't do that. But under these proposed new rules, you'll be allowed to do that. But again, I despair. To do that, you'll need to get extra training, extra certification, and prove you've got extra capabilities to do that. Why? Every man and his dog circles trees with mini quads and things. I've not heard of anybody being killed or anybody being hurt or property damaged through that. Seriously, regulators seem to be out there going, we've been a bit quiet of late. We need to get there and really mess with people's lives and upset them. That's what they're doing. Canada, stop it. Stop it immediately. Just stop it. Don't do it anymore. Honestly, that's enough. Listen to me. And I got an email, safety email from CASA in Australia the other day, and it reminds you of the rules regarding FPV flying. I didn't realise, I hadn't actually checked closely, but apparently you can only fly FPV at an approved site. You can't fly FPV in the park. No, you can't fly FPV on your brother's farm. You've got to fly at an approved site to fly FPV legally. Why? That means that all the people flying mini quads and cine quads and things, but FPV in parks and places around Australia are all breaking the law, breaking the rules. Why? Where are the deaths? Where are the massive property damage? CASA, stop it. Again, I say, stop it, CASA. Just, don't be idiots. Regulators seem to be, maybe it's this latest crisis thing we're going through. They're all sitting around going, oh, I'm bored sitting at home. Let me make a misery out of somebody's life. I know what, let's make some more crap regulations up. Because they can do it. And they do it. They do it again and again and again. It's not good enough. Again, CASA in Australia, stop it. Stop it right now. But let's move on to America, Trump land. What's happening there? Well, I don't know. The FAA just announced, they just put a press release out saying we've selected partners to create or consult on this network ID system that we think is wonderful and absolutely necessary for the safety and security of the nation. And the companies that they have selected are a very interesting group. First of all, Airbus. You'd think, oh, Airbus, yes. Hang on a minute. Airbus, the Financial Times just did an article the other day saying that Airbus was near bankruptcy. So by the time this comes to pass, Airbus might not even exist anymore. Why are you choosing companies that are teetering on the brink of extinction? No, FAA, are you not actually even doing a little bit of research here? And we've got Amazon. Well, wouldn't you know it? Amazon. And Google in the form of Wing. Well, wouldn't you know it? And then you've got Intel, and you've got a couple of telcos in the form of Skyward, which is a part of Verizon, and T-Mobile. So, but the thing that I find interesting there is, if we do the research, the best research I can find is that over 90% of all drone operations are conducted by recreational users. You know, guys flying down the local field, guys flying a Phantom, guys flying mini quads, guys flying planks at a grassy field in the middle of nowhere. 90% of all unmanned aircraft flights around the world are recreational. Yet I don't see any recreational bodies on this list. Hang on a minute. How's democracy supposed to work? Everyone gets a vote? Well, I don't see anyone on here representing the hobby users, and the hobby users have been completely marginalised through all this. You know, yeah, we know you're the biggest users of the airspace with purpose. We know that you've paved the way, you've created a lot of the technology, you've created the demand, but we don't care about you anymore because America is a country it used to be by the people for the people. Now it's by the corporates for the corporates. Yes, the only people being looked after are the corporate users. And one also has to ask the question, I didn't think network ID had been put into effect yet. I didn't think it was a fait accompli. I thought they just had a big consultation in America where they said, you know, tell us what you think. And over 50,000 people responded to the consultation, most of them saying, no, not as advertised, we don't want that. Yet they've gone ahead and selected a panel of consultants. Are they going to even listen? Have they listened to all those 50,000 plus submissions, or are they just saying, well, that was a process we were bound by law to go through, but we're not going to take any notice of these people? What do they matter? What matters to us are the wallets of Amazon and Google and the other big corporates who take care of us, the people who make the decisions. I don't know, it all sounds a bit murky to me. I don't know what you think. So where do we go to from here as a hobby? Well, I think we've been way too passive. I mean, take America, for example. When the Redcoats came, did the Americans say, okay, Redcoats are here, put your guns down, boys, let's just do whatever they say? No, they didn't. They stood up and fought. They said, no, go away, we'll have a tea party, get rid of these invading Redcoats. We don't want them anymore. We want to be self-determining. Well, hey, hobby, it's time we did the same thing. We've been sitting here waiting for regulators to come along and say, well, you can do this and you can't do that. And no, I'm sorry, but I think it's time we went to the regulators and said, this is what we are going to do. Okay, if you don't like it, too bad. You can't arrest us all. And I think what we need to do is, first of all, we need to carve out a safe haven for the hobby. And to a degree, that's been done with the sub 250 situation in Canada. We need to say to regulators around the world, if it's under 250 grams, no rules from you. We just have to not endanger people or property, but no prescriptive rules. Sub 250, it's safe. It's proven to be safe. It's absolutely, totally safe. It is more dangerous to ride your bicycle. It's more dangerous to get out of bed in the morning. So you don't tell us anything. We've been doing this for decades. Sub 250 is safe. You cannot touch us if we're flying sub 250. You basically abdicate any right to control. We want sub 250. That's where the hobby can live. And that means we can fly in the parks, we can fly in the grassy field miles from anywhere. We can do what we like because Canada's proven it is 100% safe to take that attitude. And then the second thing is we will not submit to your network ID. So if you want to fly something more than 250 grams, you can do it in approved flying areas. These are your AMA flying fields, your BMFA flying fields, your CASA flying fields. If you want to go and fly your 2-pound or your 2-kilo trainer, or your model jet or something, those are the places you fly those machines, right? You fly them in areas that are safe to fly them in. And again, other than restricting them to those areas and the altitude limit, no more rules. That's it. I'm sorry, but when we're there, we're not going to be endangering anybody. We're well away from population centres. We're well away from other aircraft. No rules. That's it. Just we take care of ourselves. Other than that, yeah, bring in all the rules you like. You know, you can have remote ID, you can have the need to have a policeman standing beside you when you fly. If you want to fly a gas-powered scale model in the local park, then you're going to need a hell of a lot of rules to make sure you do it safely. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. But we need to carve out the future of the hobby, secure the future of the hobby. That means under 250 grams, I'm sorry, FAA, CASA, CAA, hands off. Hands off. We're not your, these are toys. These are toys. And you have no right or responsibility to regulate toys. And then again, as I say, if we're flying in a safe area, an area that's been designated for model flying and is approved safe for model flying, again, hands off. Hands off. There are no people in these planes. No one's going to be endangered. It's not your responsibility. The hobby, because these are approved fields run by national model flying bodies, then they will take responsibility. They will make the rules and they will take care of everything, because you guys at the FAA, CASA, CAA, you got much better, more important things to be looking after, like making sure airliners don't fall out of the damn sky because one of your approved partners doesn't do their job properly. That's what you need to be doing, saving lives, not upsetting people who are just enjoying one of the safest hobbies on the face of the planet. So I say to the hobbyists, I say to you, whether you're a member of a national model flying organisation or just a lone flyer, you need to stand up and be heard. You need to say, I'm sorry, regulators, we're not having any of this crap you're throwing at us. You cannot regulate us because regulation requires compliance, and we will not comply. You can make all the rules you like, we're going to ignore them because we know through decades of safe flying that if it's under 250 grams, it's not a threat to anyone. Canada has proven that. It's proven, it's not conjecture, it's proven in Canada. And if we're flying in an area that's designated for model flying, then we're not a threat to the public, we're not a threat to security, we're not a threat to safety. So leave us alone to enjoy our hobby. Now, other than that, yes, if we want to fly, a 1 kilo drone in a public place, well, okay, you can have controls. If you want remote ID because we're flying in a public place with a 1 kilo drone or a 1 kilo fixed wing model or whatever it is, yes, we'll sign up for your remote ID, we'll sign up for your registration, all that sort of stuff. Other than that, get out of our lives. You're doing no good, you're serving no purpose except making things difficult. That's what, and as a hobby, if we join forces and we present this and say that is what you're doing, what are they going to do? They can't arrest us all. They can't throw us all in jail. And I think if we do that and we take this to the politicians and say this is how you must save the hobby that has paved the way for all the technology we're seeing now being planned to being used by the like of Amazon and Google and DHL, all these companies, if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have this drone technology. They wouldn't, because we were the ones paving the way. Who was the first person to fly an unmanned aircraft across the Atlantic Ocean? Yeah, it was Maynard Hill, and he did it with a model aircraft. It wasn't Boeing, it wasn't NASA, it wasn't Google, because they didn't exist then. We have paved the way. We need some respect for that, because if they destroy the hobby, the development slows and the innovation disappears, because companies only innovate when there's a dollar in it. There was no dollars in drones when we started, no dollars in model aircraft and drones when we started building them, but we built it up to the point where it could be commercialized. Now, if we're going to take the hobbyist out of the equation, yeah, there'll be incremental improvements, but there'll be no new breakthroughs. There'll be no sudden creation of new markets, because innovative amateurs decided, this looks like fun, let's try that. If you take that out of the equation, you stifle growth and innovation. Do you want to do that? Do you really want to do that? Or do you want to make sure that these things continue? Because at the moment, you're starving young people through the STEM programs. Under the proposed regulations in many countries, STEM and these educational programs will just dry up because it's too damn hard. So cut us some slack. No, accept our demands, because we're going to demand it. We need to demand it. We need to be militant here. If you just sit back and say, oh, it'll be all right, then the USA would still be run by Britain, wouldn't it? Yes, there you go. What do you think? To the comments with you. This is one of my more, emphatic rants, because I think this is really important. We've reached a point of no return now, because, as I say, even in Canada, where the regulations are working perfectly, they still want to mess with them. No, we've got to stop it now before it just becomes ridiculous. There you go. Oh, just as a final point, I know some countries now are even acknowledging that safety is no longer the issue. In Europe, and I think the UK, the acknowledgement is that this is about security and privacy. It's not about safety anymore, because they can't play the safety violin anymore because nobody's died. So that, security and privacy. Well, I'm sorry, but those should not be the purview of an aviation or airspace regulator. And if you want to regulate, I don't believe it in terms of models and drones, because if it was about privacy, then where are all the regulations for smartphones? Everyone's got a 4K smartphone in their camera phone in their pocket. They can take pictures of all sorts of things. People are getting prosecuted for doing upskirts in public places with smartphone cameras. I haven't seen anyone being prosecuted or anything happening with drones in that respect. And we've got long lenses on cameras you can buy on the high street that will photograph people. They can be recognised from miles away. You can't do that with a drone, because those people don't even know they're being photographed. When you start laying down the same rules and regulations and restrictions for long-lensed cameras and smartphones, then I'll consider your argument for doing that for our models and our toys. Until then, sorry, these are what we're offering you, regulators. This is what you will do, or you'll get zero compliance from us. And if you don't have compliance, your rules are worthless, aren't they? They're less than worthless. So there you go. What do you think, people? To the comments. Am I just being an old militant? Should I be having a peace sign around my neck or something? I don't know. Yes, I'm an old hippie, but I think we need to stand up for ourselves, or we're going to be trodden on. And I don't want to be trodden on. Do you? The future's in our hands, people. What do you think? Are you with me or against me? Tell me. thumbs up if you like the video, thumbs down if you don't. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. They make it possible for me to continue these ridiculous rants. And yeah, over to you. Bye for now.